This video is brought to you by MagBak. Today, we're looking at the first 10 things you should do if you've just got your brand new iPhone 14 or any other iPhone that runs iOS 16. Now, these tips and tricks will help you get the most out of your iPhone's features, battery life, as well as performance. The first thing we're going to be looking at is customizing the lock screen. Now, iOS 16 adds some really awesome new customization specifically to the lock screen. So to access this, first we're going to make sure that we wake up the display by tapping on the display here. Make sure that your phone is unlocked and then press and hold in the center of the display. And this will bring up this sort of tile menu where we can swipe between the left and right here to select our previous different home screens. Now, if you have an Apple Watch, this will look very familiar to you, as this is kind of similar to swiping between your different watch displays, making it very easy to switch your home screen look or your lock screen look. Now, to add a new lock screen, what we're going to do is press the little plus sign in the bottom right here, and right here we will have several options to choose from. Now, first we have a bunch of featured, which will just be Apple suggestions. You can see that it also uses photos, and you can take an extra close look. You'll see that it crops you out of the photos to kind of place you in front or behind the time to kind of give this nice 3D effect. And then beneath that, we also have weather and astronomy, as well as emoji. These I think are very ugly, but hey, they're there. I do like the weather ones though, as well as the ones on the bottom, which are just collections. And then of course we have some colors as well. But let me go ahead and show you how to add a new one. So let's go through the weather here. And let's go through the globes. We're going to just pick Earth here. And right here we have, first of all, some different options to choose from. So we can go ahead and swipe. You can see that we can zoom into our current location. For those that don't know, I am based in London in the UK here. We can go ahead and swipe through here. We can also take it to the moon. And we can swipe again to zoom in as well, or zoom out very far, as you can see. But let's go ahead and go back to Earth here. Feels more like home. We'll swipe in here, and there we have the UK, and we'll go with this one right here. Now, for the first time, we can actually change elements on the home screen. So starting off with the top here, we currently have the date and the day of the week, but we can actually add other widgets as well. You can have things like your temperature, your calendar, or even your activity. This is especially great if you do have an Apple Watch. But for now, I like to keep it simple, so I just prefer to have the date, so we'll leave it as so. Then we can actually tap on the time as well, and we can change the fonts. Now, this is really great, and I think goes a long way to finally being able to customize your home screen. Your lock screen, I mean, something we've previously never had on iPhone. You can see we can also change the color, change the hue as well. I'm going to try and match my beautiful bonsai tree here. No, but I actually like the original, as I will kind of show through the color slightly of your wallpaper. And then I like this bold sort of classic time. So we'll go ahead and go with that and then tap off of it to save that. Now, beneath that is the most interesting part, and that is widgets. Now, for the first time, you can actually add widgets right to your lock screen. As you can see on the top here, Apple will have a bunch of suggestions for widgets for things ranging from your calendar to your temperature, alarms, again, activity, and you can also go by app, so you have your battery status, things like this. Let's go ahead and remove the current widgets that are there. We'll press the little minus button here. There we go, and we'll do that again, and that will free up the area. So of course you can choose to have no widgets if you prefer, but I like to have a few widgets. For example, I like to have the temperature. This is useful as it will show the current temperature. This is Celsius, and then the minimum and maximum expected during the day. I think this is great to see right on your watch. And then another one I like to add is activity. It will show you how much of your activity rings you have filled without having to check your watch. It's just right on the home screen. And you can choose to add more, but one tip that I do have with widgets is that less is more. Now, the reason for this is that widgets are a great way to get information at a glance, but at the same time, they are almost like small apps running in the background constantly, and thus will take battery. So the more widgets you have, the more battery you will use. Now, the iPhone 14 Pro has decent battery, but there are some really good battery tips that we're going to be showing you today, and this is one of them, and I highly recommend you think carefully about how many widgets you show. Again, less is more. So I like to have the weather and the activity rings. And there we go. And once we are happy with the setup, we're going to go ahead and select Add. And then we have the option to assign it both to our lock screen as well as our home screen. Let's go ahead and set it up to both here as a pair. And there we go. So in this menu that we saw earlier, we now have our new wallpaper, and we're just going to tap into that. And now we have the time and our widgets, the date, and of course the map of our current location. One of the best ways to protect your iPhone and add functionality to it is with MagBak. MagBak creates elegant and functional accessories for your iPhone. This is the MagBak case. It comes in a range of colors, including this really nice sleek gray, and is made of a grippy, impact-absorbent silicone that is drop-tested for up to 6 feet. But the best feature of the MagBak case is not only is it fully compatible with MagSafe, but they're also compatible with MagSticks. And this means you can mount your phone to any surface by adding a MagStick. Think your dashboard, kitchen, or even wall. And if the surface is already metallic, just place the case to mount. The impressive array of magnets in the case also lets you add other accessories like the MagBak wallet. The Saffiano leather wallet seamlessly attaches to the back of the case, and because MagBak uses more magnets than traditional MagSafe, the magnetic strength is far superior. In fact, 2 to 3 times stronger, which for a wallet is very important. And then, in typical MagBak fashion, they went even further by adding additional functionality. For example, you can use the wallet as a stand and also has an integrated loop for extra grip. The wallet can hold up to 6 cards or cards and cash thanks to having dual pockets. And then lastly, there is the multi-charger. This charger lets you charge your iPhone, Apple Watch, and AirPods all at the same time. I use this every night and I just love how minimalistic the design is. To learn more about MagBak and all of their great accessories, be sure to click the link in the description and use code Dion Schuddeboom 15 off to get 15% off your order. Alright, let's go ahead and unlock the phone here. Now the iPhone 14 Pro and the iPhone 14 series come with some really neat new safety features, but you're going to want to make sure that these are activated. So to do this, we're going to jump into the settings tab here, into the settings app, and then we're going to scroll down to where it says emergency and SOS. So that's this icon right here. We will tap into that, and here we have several options. Now, I currently do not have a SIM card in this particular phone, but if you do, these options will not be grayed out, and there's a few that I highly recommend you turn on. Now, first, of course, is the turning on with 5 presses. This is great, as if ever you need to subtly call for emergency services or for help without having to reach for your phone or dial a number, all you can do is press and hold the side button 5 times, and it will automatically dial 911 or whatever your local emergency service is. Again, hope to never need this, but it's reassuring to have in the background. And then beneath that, we have the option to call after a serious crash, and this is crash detection. Now, this is a feature that we also saw added to the new Apple Watches, and as the name implies, this feature will detect if you're ever in a severe car crash and then automatically call emergency services if you do not respond. Again, a feature that is good to have, hope to never need, but just reassuring to have on in the background, so make sure that that is toggled on as well. And then on the topic of safety, let's go ahead and go through some essential security settings that you're going to want to do. More specifically, additions you're going to want to make to Face ID to make it even better. So to do this, we're going to go ahead and scroll to where we find the Face ID and passcode menu here. For this, we'll type in our password quickly, and this will unlock this menu here. Now, first, I highly recommend you turn on all of these functions for Face ID. Face ID, of course, uses biometric authentication, so it's incredibly secure. So you can allow it to not only unlock your phone, but also authenticate purchases in iTunes, App Store, Apple Pay, and of course, autofill passwords. Great feature without having to retype in your password every time. Now, beneath that, we also have the option to add an alternative appearance. Now, if you wear glasses like I do, or say sometimes you have a beard and other times you shave it, it may be useful to add an alternative appearance to make Face ID more reliable and more quick to use, and this menu will allow you to do so. And beneath that, now we also have the option to allow Face ID to work with a mask. Now, previously, this required an Apple Watch. However, now this is no longer the case. So this, with this enabled, will allow Face ID to still recognize you even if you wear a mask. Now, beneath that, we have a couple of options that I definitely suggest you turn on. And this was what makes Face ID a little bit more secure. So for the first is to require attention for Face ID, and the second is the attention awareness feature. Now, what this basically requires is not only for Face ID to see you in the sensor, but also for you to actually make eye contact with your phone in order for it to activate. So in other words, if I were to try and unlock my phone and I could be right in front of it, but look with my eyes off to the left, my phone would not unlock unless I look at the phone. Again, this is a small but very useful security feature that I definitely suggest you turn on. Speaking of essential security features, if we scroll down here, this is a menu that many people overlook and I think is so important. And this allows you to dictate or to determine what people can access on your phone whilst it is locked. Now, my suggestion here is to turn almost all of these off, as I would only want people to have access to these things, such as the ability to use Siri, look at my wallet, or to even reply to a message. I would only want that to be for loved ones or those who have access to my phone, know my password. But if a stranger finds my phone, or if my phone ever gets lost or stolen, I wouldn't want any of these things to be accessed. Now, there are a few exceptions, so I think lock screen widgets is one of them. This means your widgets will load without you having to unlock the phone, which is useful. And then there's also live activities, which is also great, as I will show you your activity throughout the day. But other features like your wallet, again, Siri, messages, you don't want people to access this without your permission, and certainly not those that don't have your password or, well, who are not you. And then, of course, essentially as well is I like to turn on this erase data option. Now, what this means is if the incorrect password is typed in your phone 10 times in a row, it will automatically erase itself. Now, in the event that your phone ever gets lost or stolen, ultimately the most important thing is, of course, your personal data, and this ensures that if ever someone tries to brute force their way in by guessing your password repeatedly, eventually your data will be erased and therefore be safe and not being compromised. And right from some essential security and safety tips, we're going to go to some big battery tips, and this involves notifications and background app refresh. So let's start off with notifications. Of course, notifications are great, but most people like me have their phone going off all day, and this is not only good for not good for your battery life, but also not great for your mental well-being. So what I suggest you do is go into your notification settings, scroll through all of your apps, and manually select which you would and which you do not want to be able to send you notifications. For example, I only allow notifications from messaging apps, financial or banking apps, and other, for example, certain shopping apps and social media, but a lot of them I just turn off. Amazon, for example, games, books, what else do I have here? Headphones apps, right? These are things that don't need to be bothering me throughout the day, so I just turn off notifications. Now, first of all, this is good for your battery because it means your phone will go off less often, it won't vibrate as often, it won't use the speaker as often, it won't wake the screen as often, and all these combined will save battery. And secondly, you're going to be checking your phone less, and that's better for your well-being, because I think most people, if you're like me, you check a notification, chances are you're going to swipe to the home screen, have a look at some TikToks or some great YouTube videos by Dion Schuddeboom, maybe, and that will distract you from your work. So again, turning off as many notifications as possible is great, though don't stop watching my videos, please. Anyway, so there we go. Go through this list, guys. Turn off notifications that aren't needed. What we're going to do then is kind of to add to that is to adjust the background app refresh settings. So we're going to go into general and then scroll down to where it says background app refresh. Now, the same kind of theory applies here. Almost all apps are going to want to run in the background, but most don't need to. And the more apps you have constantly running in the background, the more battery this is going to take. So at the top of the menu, you do have the option to turn off background app refresh for all applications. Now, I don't suggest you do this, as there are some apps that you would probably want to have running in the background. For example, things like your Maps applications. Personally, I like to have my mail running as well, just so that these are always up to date, especially when I'm using them. But other applications, again, shopping apps, loyalty card apps, games, right? These are all apps that don't need to be running in the background. And as you can see, if I scroll through my list here, you can see that just about half or maybe even over half of my apps do not run in the background. So combining the background app refresh tips as well as the notification tips are going to make a huge impact on your battery life and really extend it. Trust me, if you haven't set this up already, you're going to see a big difference. Speaking of battery tips, another one that I see many people using incorrectly or not really know about is Siri. Now, I like to use Siri. In fact, I use Siri almost every day on my phone, on my Apple Watch, to ask for the weather, to set a reminder, check my calendar, these things. But there are several ways to use Siri. You can either use Siri by using the activation phrase. I'm not going to say the first word to not activate your Siris. You can go ahead and activate that here. But you can also activate Siri by pressing and holding the side button like so. And as you can see, Siri will then come up and we can swipe up to dismiss her. Now, if you go ahead and turn on this first option, the Siri listen for Siri command phrase, what this means is your phone is going to be constantly listening in the background for that activation phrase. And this means your mics are going to be constantly constantly running, and again, your phone is constantly listening for that phrase. And this is going to take a lot of battery over time. Not to mention, it's quite easy to accidentally trigger Siri. I have a HomePod mini in the kitchen, and I found that more often than not, even a TV show that I watch, if you say seriously, for example, it can actually accidentally trigger Siri. So I suggest to just activate Siri when I need her with the side button. This saves battery and also disables the chance of any accidental triggers. And then right from Siri, we go to the display. Now, the iPhone 14 Pros in particular have absolutely stunning displays, and there are definitely some settings that I recommend you go over to make sure it is optimized and performs to it the best that it can. Now, first, you can change the appearance, so we can change between light and dark mode, but personally, I like to use both. And to do this, we're going to activate the automatic button that you'll find right beneath that, and then we can have it scheduled to a specific time or to switch according to the position of the sun. So I like to have it set on a schedule here. This means that from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. I'm in light mode, and then in the later hours in the evening from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. I'm in the dark mode, as at night I find this more easy to look at, but during the day I find overall the lighter background or the lighter appearance to be much more pleasing to look at, especially when out in the sun. So using the automatic button here will allow you to cycle between them and get the best of both. Another quick tip, actually, to change between light and dark mode, you can swipe into the control center, swipe down from the top right, and then press and hold on the brightness toggle, and this will allow us to activate or disactivate the dark mode from there very quickly as well. And beneath that, we have the option to turn on or off True Tone. Now, as you can see, if I turn off True Tone, my display gets a slightly bluish hue, and then when I turn it back on, it gets a little bit warmer to look at. Now, True Tone will adjust the temperature of the display to match the surrounding environment that you are in. So at the moment, I have these daylight studio lights shining down on my phone, and you can see that with True Tone on, it gets a little bit warmer, and this overall is meant to make the display a little bit more pleasing to look at. So I suggest keeping this on in general. There is one time though when I do suggest you turn this off, and that is when you're editing videos or photos, as of course this will alter the color output of the display and thus make it a little bit less accurate. So if you do want that accurate color, which you'd want when you're editing photos, make sure that you turn this on. But otherwise, I like to have it on. It just makes the display a little bit nicer to look at. And the similar thing can be said for Night Shift, which is a feature that we find beneath it here. This is similar to True Tone, but then takes a more extreme approach in which it will actually remove or limit the amount of blue light that's coming from your display. Now, for those that don't know, blue light can be harmful to your sleep. It can cause headaches for some, and overall, you want to limit exposure where possible. So this, as you can see, adds a very drastic orange tint to the display, so you can use this also on a scheduled timer. So for example, have it activate late at night when you're using your phone in bed when you should be sleeping, and then you can also go ahead and manually turn this on and off in the settings as well. Now, just like True Tone, Night Shift is great, but do make sure to not use it when you're editing photos, as if you have it on, all of your photos and videos will come out looking very orange. Alright, so now let's go ahead and take a look at some really cool features in Messages that have been added with iOS 16. And the first is we finally have the ability to edit a message, as well as the ability to unsend a message. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to send a lovely message to my fiance here. Let's go ahead and send hey here. As you can see, that will have just been sent. But let's say I made a spelling mistake. What I can do is press and hold on that message, and then I can actually press edit, and we can go ahead and change that. So let's say I want to add an exclamation point. And there we go, that a message will now have been edited. Now, it's important to note that the person on the receiving end will see that the message has been edited, but can't see the edit history. So won't be able to see the hey before I added the exclamation point. But let's say I regret sending this message. What I can also do is press and hold on the message, and I can then go ahead and undo send the message, and this will then remove it from the thread. Now, again, this person will not be able to see what message it was that I removed, but can see that I did unsend a message with a little notification like this. Now, it's important to note that you can unsend or edit messages for up to 15 minutes after they have sent. So this is great if you put in a spelling mistake or say you regret that message. Good to have that additional feature. Next, I want to show you some really cool features in the Notes app. Now, the Notes app on iPhone has become really powerful over the years. Not just a great place to take and add some notes, but you can also scan documents. You can even add photos, draw in it. And another feature that I think many people don't know about is you can actually password protect a note as well. So going through my notes here, as you can see, I have this cafes to try note. So that's, of course, very secretive. And what we're going to do is press and hold on that note, and then we have the option to lock the note. Now we can go ahead and choose to either lock it with a passcode that will be the same as your iPhone, or you can also add a new passcode specifically for that. So this is a great way to protect some sensitive information. Of course, still, even with a locked note, I never suggest storing any kind of passwords or login information. But let's say you have, I don't know, a phone number, an address, or something like that, maybe a secret diary entry that you want to protect. Just go ahead and use your passcode or create a new one for that if you like. Next, I want to show you a really cool feature in the Photos app, and that is called Live Text in Photos, and this allows you to copy text right from a photo. So to show you how this works, I'm going to open up the Photos app here, and let's take a picture of this lovely candle I have over here to my right. Go ahead and open up that photo. And let's say I want to Google the name of this candle. All I have to do is press and hold right on the text, and you can see that it's automatically detected it. I can go ahead and copy that then. And then let's go into a notes document here. We'll open up a new one, double tap, and then we'll select paste, and there we go. We've just copied text right from a photo into the Notes app. This is great if, say, you are a student, and for example, you've taken a picture of the whiteboard, or you're in the office in a boardroom, you've taken a photo of a slideshow on a presentation. You can copy and paste text right from the photo, and I found this to be very accurate, even with handwriting as well. This next part of the video is probably the most important part, and that is to do a proper backup of your phone. Now, there's a few ways to do this. You can back up to a computer via a lightning cable, but this is quite a lot of work, as you'd have to do this once a week at least to have a recent backup, and then it's going to take up a lot of storage on your Mac. So my preferred way to do this is to actually back up right to iCloud. Now we can go ahead and tap on our name in the top left, on the top of the settings menu, and then we can go into the iCloud option, and then we have the iCloud backup option. Now, iCloud Backup will do an automatic backup within every 24 hours. So most of the time it will do this when you are charging your phone at night, and it will copy over everything, not just your music, your videos, your apps, but also things like your account details, your messages, your wallpaper. Literally everything will be carried over to the cloud. Now, the only thing with iCloud is it does cost some money, so you do have to pay for some extra data, as you only get 5 gigabytes for free. Now, I'm currently on a 200 gigabyte plan, as you can see, and this, I believe, costs only $3 per month, but you can also get a 50 gigabyte plan, which is just $1 per month. And I think for that $24 or $36 per year that this costs, it is absolutely worth it, knowing that there is always an up-to-date backup in the cloud. This way that if ever my phone is lost or stolen, or say I'm upgrading to a new phone, I can easily carry over all of my data without losing any of my messages, calls or texts or anything like that. Apps, settings, everything will be carried over just like it would be on your previous phone. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this is going to help you get the most out of your brand new iPhone 14 Pro in terms of the features, the apps, as well as, of course, battery life and performance. Let me know if you have any tips that I haven't shown here. And if you haven't seen them yet, I highly recommend watching my how to transfer data from an old iPhone to a new iPhone video. It's especially great around Christmas if you've gotten a new iPhone. And then I also recommend checking out my iPhone 14 versus iPhone 14 Pro comparison video to see which phone is the best value. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year in advance. Take care.